And so for this class, we're going to submit things on Blackboard, but most of the content will be on the Open Lab. So that's a good way. The Open Lab, if you haven't used it before, is just a good way to kind of keep a record of your work. So it's basically like a blog where you can post stuff. And if it's a good thing to get in the habit of to kind of document the progress of your work. It's a good way to show what your process is like, and it's also a good way if you are creating a portfolio in the future. If you have a lot of documentation of your work, it makes it a lot easier to build a portfolio. So we're gonna look at how to do that and just a couple different things. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the Open Lab. So I'm going to go to Open Lab and go to our class. So I'll just go to the Open Lab first because we haven't actually really used it this semester. So the Open Lab itself is kind of this like collection of different sites that are related to different classes or communities or projects at BMCC. There's also portfolios. If you want to make a portfolio, this is a good way to do it. You can look at other student portfolios here. But we're going to look at my courses. And so we can see here's our class, MMP 310. And this is kind of like the Open Lab component of the site, but we have this course site, which is where we're going to do most of our work. So when we go to visit course site, that's when we end up here. And you guys are all added as authors here if you've joined the site. And there's a few links here, but what we're going to start doing is actually creating posts. There's no posts yet, and today we're going to create our first post. A couple other things to mention while we're here. I'm going to go over a way to take a screenshot on a Windows, because I'm on a Windows machine right now. But you may not be on Windows, or you may also want to take a video. And so there's a link here under this links menu called documentation resources. And this is just videos on YouTube about taking screenshots and screen recording on different platforms. So there's the first two are just taking a screenshot, PC or Mac, and those are pretty simple. Screen recording gets a little bit trickier, but these are two pretty easy to follow, hopefully, videos on how to screen record on Mac and Windows again. And then if you want to do like a fancy thing, screen recording, you can use OBS, which is a free software for Mac and PC again. And these videos will show you how to kind of get them set up. If you do like streaming stuff, you probably know what this stuff is, but if not, that might be something that you would be interested in. That's probably like overkill for what we're going to do for the documentation for our projects. But just put those up there if you want to learn more. Anyway, so I'm only going to be able to demonstrate on Windows for today, but I want you guys to be aware of those resources in case you're on a Mac or if you want to, do different things. Okay, so now let's go to the project. So we are going to include a link to this project and some documentation of what it looks like. So uh, the link is just right here. I'm just going to copy and paste that in a bit. I want to make sure that everything looks good, so I'm just kind of looking through the code and making sure everything looks nice. You probably want to click on this little formatting button to make everything look pretty before you submit it. And also make sure that you have some good comments in here so it's easy to read what's going on in your code. So, we can see what's happening in the code. But other than that, it should be pretty straightforward. And once you've got your code in a place that you like it, we just want to document the result of that code. So for the documentation, I'm going to close my console so I can get like a full screen view. And if you want to also, you can take this window out of the rest of the tabs on Chrome or whatever you're on. You could put it in full screen. I think if I do like Control F, no, what about Control Shift F or Control Alt F? Let's just look in here. More tools, no, settings, zoom. Oh, here it is, full screen. So yeah, you could go to full screen if you want to, get a full screen view of the project. That might be useful. It's kind of up to you. It could be good to show it in the context of the browser. Now I have to leave full screen. I don't actually know how to do that. Oh, here we go. If I go up here, there's a little X. Sometime,
F11 to leave full screen.
sorry.
F11
Oh,
takes
thank
you
you.
out.
F11. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks. A lot of the time when I'm documenting stuff, I like to leave the browser in there so people know what the context is, that this is like something that I built in the browser. But it just kind of depends on what you want for the look. But yeah, once you have it set up in a way that you are happy with, we just want to take a couple screenshots of, especially since we're doing 3D, we want to have like multiple angles on the project so people can really see that it's, what the scale of the project is. So I'm just going to kind of set up a little perspective here where we can see our bench and our tree and some clouds, and I'm going to take a screenshot. So I'll show two different ways to take a screenshot. Depending on what windows you have, it may be easier to do one or the other. So one is using the Xbox Game Bar, which is like a built-in screen recording software that Windows has that's used for streaming games and capturing game footage. And that's actually what I like to use just because it's pretty simple. Um, to use that, first you just have to make sure you have the window that you want to capture selected. So I'm just going to click on my browser to make sure it's focused. If you were in like a different, browser window or something like that, you just have to like make sure to click on the right one. And then to open the game bar, if you have it installed, you can just hit the Windows key and then G together, and that will bring up this overlay. Um, I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you guys see that on Discord when I bring
Yeah.
that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, the overlay, I can
Yeah.
see it.
Okay, cool. I think sometimes you can't see it, maybe if I'm just sharing like an application or something. Anyway, so once you open this up, basically we can ignore pretty much everything in here except for this like little capture window up here. And if we want to just take a still, you can just use this little camera button to take a screenshot. You can actually do a recording if you want. Like I could record a video of like, navigating around the scene. And maybe for the second assignment, I'll do that so we can see an example of that. For now, let's just do a screenshot. So I'm just going to click the capture button and nothing happens, but there's a little blue dot up here. And if I click on see my captures, now I can see that this capture I just did is added into this gallery folder that I have on my computer. And if I want to see that in my Finder, I can just click on the little folder icon right there. And then when I click continue, that is going to bring out my Finder. And you can see I have some captures from the game design class. And now I have my 3GS capture here. And you can see it actually has some information about the capture. It says, the title of the site, my first 3JS app, Google Chrome, and then the date is all on here. So that's useful information to have. So that's one way to do a capture. And I'm going to do a second capture using the snipping tool because I think not every Windows machine has the game bar built into it, but I think everything does have the snipping tool. So another way to do a
On, only Windows will have the game bar because Xbox belongs to Microsoft.
right,
So
yeah,
Apple or whatever won't have it.
yeah. For Mac, it won't have either of these programs, but they have their own built-in screenshot thing, which is linked in the documentation. And if anybody's on a Mac and needs help with that, I can
But
go over it later.
everybody has print screen on their keyboard, basically. You
Yeah,
just press it and that's it.
right. So this is kind of similar to doing print screen, except we have a user interface that goes along with it, but it's using the same thing. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys already know how to do this stuff, but just want to make sure. Anyway, so if I want to do a screen cap with the snipping tool, I just type in snipping tool. I think it'll also come up if you actually type in print screen. It'll also show the snipping tool. So anyway, so I just type in snipping tool into the search, and this gives me similar options. Oh, it says it's moving. Okay, snip and sketch. Oh, this is cool. Okay. I'm not going to do this right now because I haven't used this before, but I'll try it later. Anyway, so we just want to choose the mode. So we want to go to Window, Snip, and now we can just choose the window that we want uh, to select, to capture. And you can see when I move around, this is probably like that Finder window, but what I really want is just my browser window, which is the main one that we can see. So I'll just click on that, and it's just going to open it up. So it's going to do a capture, and then it already opens it up inside of um, my of this snipping tool editor. It looks like it actually has the Windows bar at the bottom, which should just be the, oh, maybe I captured like the whole window. Let's try that one more time. I'm gonna say no. Uh, let's see, maybe I need to just make this window big. Okay, let's try it again. So I'll go to snipping tool, and I'm gonna go to window snip, and let's see, try it again. Okay, yeah, it's taking the whole desktop. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but this is good enough. If I wanted to, oh, I don't want to draw on it. Let's undo that. Oh, there's no undo. Okay, let's erase that. Okay, if I wanted to crop this out, I could do that, but uh, I'm not going to worry about that for right now. Anyway, now that we have it here, the thing that I have to do is save it. So I can click on this little save uh, icon, the little floppy disk, or I can go to File and go to Save As. And here you can save it wherever you want. If I want it to be like with the other screenshot that I took, so that I think is in captures under videos for some reason. This PC videos captures. So I'm just going to save it in the same place. And then I have to give this a file name. So this is my 3JS screen cap 2. And then I'll click save. And so now I can get rid of this. So when you use the snipping tool or the print screen, you have to make sure to save it. It doesn't just like go to your capture folder. But there we have it. Now I have my first capture with the Xbox game bar, and I have the second capture with the snipping tool, although it's got some weird space at the top too as well. I'm not sure, maybe I wasn't doing it right, but it looks kind of goofy. So I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to do another capture. So I want to show a little bit the scale of this. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit and capture another angle on this scene. And you can really capture as many angles as you want. It's up to you how much you want to capture, but since it's 3D, you should probably have at least 2 captures just to show the dimensionality. So I'm going to do one more game bar capture just so it looks consistent. So I'm going to make another capture there and then leave this. And so now I can get rid of this and I'll go over to the Open Lab and start my post. So when I want to make a new post on the Open Lab, I can just click on the plus button and that'll take me to a new post. If I go to plus and then post, it'll do the same thing. So I'm gonna go to a new post, and the first thing it's gonna do is ask me to add a category to the post. You can see this red bar up here is saying to add a category. So I'll look at the categories. There are some categories that are imported from last semester, but we're not doing the exact same thing as last semester. Actually, this looks like some MMP. I must have copied my MMP 210 class for this one because this is MMP 210 stuff. So I'm just going to make a new category for this. This is assignment 1, 3D graphics. So I'll add a new category and you guys can use that when you are creating your, oh, whoops, I should have put this into the new category name. So I'll add a new category and so you guys can use that when you submit yours. Let's see, it should be selected now. Yeah, and I'll delete those other categories later. So we've got the category. Now we can do a post. So you can name this whatever you want. If you have like a title for your project, I'm just going to call this my 3JS scene. And now we're going to add in our images. So for our documentation, you can do things in whatever order you think is best, but I usually like to start out with some images so we know what we're looking at. So there's a couple different ways to add an image. I'll show you guys both. So one is just to use this little plus button. If you've ever written a post on WordPress, you should kind of maybe be familiar with this interface, but I'll go over the basics. So uh, I can I can just type if I want to add text. I can just start typing. But if I want to add media or formatting, I need to use this little block editor. So I'll click on the plus to add a block. And then one of the default options is image. So I can just directly click on image. But if you don't see the option you're looking for, you can type it in and it'll show you different things that come up. So I typed in image, and obviously the first example is image. So I'll click on that, and that makes an image block. And now I can upload some media. So I'll click on the blue upload button, and I'll go back to my captures folder, which is in the quick access on my computer, so it's easy to find there. But if it wasn't already there, the way I would find this is to go to this PC and then go to my videos, go to my captures, and I'm going to go with this capture here. And so there we go. That looks pretty good. And you can add a caption to your image if you want to. Um, so I'll just put screen cap 1 here. So that's one way to add an image. The other way, which is a little bit trickier, is drag and drop. So if I already have my folder with my captures open and I want to just drag it into my WordPress post, I can just open up my File Explorer. And this works the same way pretty much on Mac as well. I can just open up my File Explorer above the browser window and find my image here. And then I just have to drag it in, but you have to do it in the right way. So if I start to drag it, I don't want to copy it into this image. I want to get one of these new little blue bars. So if I get one of those little blue bars, that means it's going to throw the image in the right place. If I don't have a blue bar, or if it's like over here or something, it's not going to work correctly. So I have to get one of these blue bars. And when I do that, it's going to do that whole importing process for me. So here's screen cap 2. Let's use the same formatting. And so now I've got my images in my post. And so now I just have to add a little description and some code and a link to my code. So I can say, here is my first 3.js scene. I created a scene with some clouds and a tree and a bench. Let me make sure I spelled this right. Whoops, scene. And then I'll put a link to my code. I usually like to, I can just dump a link in here and it'll work, but I usually like to put a link on some text. So I'll just say, here's a link to my code. And then I'll just click on the link, and I can click on this little link button to open the link dialog. Or if I want to do a shortcut, I can hit Control K, and that'll do the same thing. So now I just need a link to my project. So I'm going to go back to Glitch for a second, and I'm just going to copy this part of the project. There's a little bit at the end after the question mark that goes directly to where I am right now, but I don't need to do that. I just want to link to the main project. So I'm going to copy everything before that little question mark. You can also use like the share button and copy link here. They might have their own built-in share somewhere. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's, oh yeah, there's a share button like right here. It's really big. So if I want to share using their interface, I can link to the live site here, or I can link to the code here. So let's copy this code and go back to the WordPress and paste it in. And I usually click open in a new tab. So it'll go to a new tab when people click on it. And I have a little extra space there, so let's get rid of that. And that's pretty much it. So now I want to preview this. So I'll click on preview in a new tab. And there we go. We can see our images and we can see our text, and there's a link to the code. And the nice thing about the Open Lab is everything's really organized. So you can see it has my name here. And so if I click on my name, I'll see all the posts that I wrote. I don't have any yet because I haven't published this yet, but it will be there. And then I can also look at assignments in this category. So if I click on this assignment, I'll see everybody's submissions for this assignment. So it's nice and organized. So I'm happy with this preview and I'll click publish. And once you publish, it's going to create a link, and that link does not change. So if you want to make changes to the post later, I'll click View Post here. If I see that I misspelled something or I want to add some more information, if you're logged in and you're looking at your own post, you will see an edit button here, like what I'm looking at now. And if you click on that edit button, you can add some more text. So I can say, here's or maybe I'll add another link to the live site. So I'll say, here's a link to the live site. And so I can go over to Glitch and grab a link to the live site and add a new link. So I'll just select the link text and hit Control K and paste in that link and click open a new tab and hit enter. So now that I've added some new information, the link doesn't change. I just click update and the link will stay the same. So to find that link, I just have to go back to this post section. Oh, and if you don't see this menu over here, you just hit this little gear box and this menu will come up on the right. So I go back to the post section and the link is under this permalink section. So I can click on the post link here and that's never going to change after you publish. Um, One other thing that's in here, if you want to unpublish something, you can click switch to draft. You can also click status and visibility. You can make something private if you want it to be private for some reason. And you can change the publishing date if you want to, but you probably won't need to do that. So I think that's everything. We've got our post here, and now this link up here is all you need for your submission. So I'm going to copy this and go over to Blackboard, which I already have open. And I'll go to MMP 310, and I'm going to switch into the student mode for a second. So to submit the assignment, I just go to this assignments link on the left-hand menu, and here's our first assignment, 3D graphics. And you can click on here, you can take a look at the rubric and just make sure that you've got everything that you need. And then just click write submission. And in here, just add the post to your Open Lab. So you don't have to add any of your images or your code or anything like that, just a link to the Open Lab post. So you can submit that. And when I get this, basically, I'm just going to go look here, make sure everything looks good, and then I'm going to look at your code, and I'll give you some feedback on Blackboard about the code. Yeah, go ahead, Francis. No, we don't use it for the game design class. It's similar, but we don't have the last Blackboard step. Yeah, but everything else is the same. All right. I think that's everything. I'm going to stop recording